What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Art Shack. So last video I went in and started adding in some grass, and I was going to attempt over here, but I just kind of never got around to it. And I've been doing a little bit of thinking. The way it is right now, it's not too bad. It just needs a little bit of polishing. As a matter of fact, this entire drawing needs a little bit of polishing. It's a bit in a rough state, and I know a few ways to fix it. Mainly what I'm noticing in this area in the sky needs to be a lot lighter. The tree here, although it's nowhere near done, it needs to be a bit lighter as well, just to make things kind of stand out a little bit. But I want to mainly work on some of these rocks a little bit here. Let me zoom in just a little bit here, that way you can get a better idea of what's going on. Alright, so on the bottom here, I'm going to have some sort of large rock formation. Not entirely sure how the lighting on this is going to be yet, as well as the contrast it's going to have against everything else. So, alright, down here I had that log. So all the elements are in the drawing. It's just a matter of tweaking everything, and that way they kind of mesh together and really kind of get in that harmony. So I'm going to try and lighten up this grass a little bit. So this episode is really going to be about kind of fine-tuning things that are already down. So this grass, I'm noticing, needs to become lighter. It's just kind of what I'm getting from everything, the way everything looks. And I'm just going to kind of create some grass texture in here as well, just with the pencil. Or I'm not even using a pencil, I'm using an eraser. It's what happens when I'm thinking of something else that other than I'm saying. I get my thoughts mixed up. I do that a lot. It's okay though. Alright, and keep the good old paintbrush handy. I'm telling you, like, keeping a paintbrush handy like this is just awesome. I know I probably keep saying it, but it's the truth. Alright. So that right there is looking a little bit better. And I'll go back in with the HB and just kind of put in a little bit of line back in, not too much, just to kind of reestablish what's been going on. But down here though, something's got to be done. That's always the problem that I have, is when I'm drawing grass and it comes down to the bottom of the drawing, you have all these lines that end at the bottom, and it doesn't always look that great. So a way that I fix it is just kind of erasing out some of those lines to kind of create a new layer of grass, and then like that it kind of helps to eliminate that, and it kind of brings everything out a little bit more. Alright, so now coming back to this area of the drawing, I'm going to grab a 2H. That's about what I'm thinking about, and I'm thinking that it's just going to be sort of like a ground texture. I'll do that for now. I can always go back and, you know, change things up later on. So just to kind of get some tone in there, that's basically what I want to get done. And I have a lot of these rocks that are kind of hanging out with not a whole lot of detail on them. So I'll kind of get this one polished up a little bit. I'm getting to the point now where I'm thinking that the polishing stage of the drawing is what takes the longest. It's the stage after you have everything placed and you're just kind of working out all the kinks and adding in the finalizing details. So I'm kind of at that stage now. Everything is in its place. It's just a matter of adding a few things, maybe taking away a thing or two, and just kind of understanding all the roles that each individual object has taken. The only thing that's not really done in this drawing is the main tree, which I'm going to attempt to draw in the trunk of that, hopefully within this video. I'm probably going to start on that in a minute. Just trying to fill in everything that's not really been touched. So there's a lot of texture going on in this. And what I'm going to do is grab a blending stump. I haven't used a blending stump that much at all during this series. And the blending stump will really help to take away some of that texture, because there's a lot of it. There's quite a lot of texture in this. Now I don't want to completely blend out everything, but it'll help to calm everything down, make it more of a peaceful looking drawing. Now this area here got a little bit dark. I'm gonna grab a kneaded eraser. I just want to pick up some of this in here, just like that. Just kind of create some varying ground texture, something like that. Then with the grass, you can follow the blades of grass in the direction that they're going and just kind of smooth them out as well, especially down at the bottom of the drawing. Just keep in mind, anywhere that has a lot of texture and a lot of detail and design will really draw the attention of the viewer. So I don't exactly want anyone to focus on just like this corner of the drawing, so I'm going to do what I can to calm it down. And the simplest way of doing that is just kind of smoothing out the texture, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. So the blending stump has quite a few strong rolls, but one thing it does do is take away any details, so I just want to keep that in mind. So it makes smooth surfaces look really good, but it's not always the greatest for every aspect of a drawing. I'm just going to kind of shade this rock in, or blend the rock in just a little bit. So just like that, this whole area of the drawing is getting a little bit better. I can go in up here, there's a lot of going on over here, and just kind of smooth everything over. So once everything is kind of polished over, then I'll typically go back in and add a little bit of distinguishing details here and there, just to add a bit more polish. And that's my typical drawing process. Especially over here, this area is just ridiculous. This area definitely needs to be calmed down. But I don't want to take all the texture away. Just want to take away most of it. That's what I'm aiming at here. Alright, so we are making progress. I'm liking that a whole lot better. Can come in over here a little bit. This area I don't want much texture at all. There we go. Okay. We are making progress. Sometimes all a drawing needs is just a little bit of touch-up to make everything kind of mesh. Alright, so let's work on this tree a little bit. Let me get the drawing situated here. So I started off with just the trunk of the tree here, or the very bottom of it. I'm going to work my way up the tree. It's going to come way up. I'm going to zoom out, not that way, just a little bit. That way you can see to the top of the drawing, like that. Okay. So, I'm mainly probably going to be using HB and 2B, maybe a 2H here and there, but we'll see how things go. I'm going to start with the 2H just to get the same texture in like this. And you want to make sure that you follow the direction of the tree, whichever way it may be growing. This tree is going to go all the way up and out of the viewing area. Okay. So as far as the lighting on this tree, I'm going to have the highlight just barely on this side here, and the dark side's going to be over here. I did not mean to put a Star Wars reference there, but that's what I was just thinking about. The dark side. Anyway, this is going to be the shaded side of the tree. My main concern is getting it to stand out enough against everything that's around this tree. And I have this one area here. I'm not sure why that's like that. Let's fix it. Okay. So I'm using an HB. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but just want to put it out there. I'm going to use a 2B really quick to see if that... Yeah, a little bit. The reason why I switched pencils is because of the 2H. That general application will help to bring out the grain of the tree bark. So the 2B doesn't really sit on top of other pencil grades very well. So it'll grip the paper really well, but not the graphite that's already down. So it'll make really dark streaks, which really helps to simulate tree texture or tree bark. Let me actually briefly describe what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to flip the page real quick. I'll zoom in. So check this out. Here is a 2H. I'm going to apply that down just like that. And if I take a 2B and then I go over it, I'll go over it at an angle. See how you can see those scratch marks kind of show up? So I'll go over it darker. That's basically what's happening. Those streaks are creating the tree bark within that tree. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to go for here. Alright, so I'm going to switch back to an HB just because it's a bit smoother in texture. The 2B is good, it's nice and dark, but it's creating way too much texture. The HB, I find, is a very good pencil for creating a tree. It just has the right amount of texture and right amount of smoothness. That's why it's probably called an HB. It's a nice, good balance. So that tree is coming out pretty nice. It's standing out very well, which I'm very glad about. Now down here I'm going to create a layer. I'm going to create like so that the tree is having some roots coming down and out around it. Sort of like that. I'll have something else kind of happening over here. And so this curved tree will help to bring the eye. It'll probably start around in this area and kind of just hit the tree and bring it right back into the center of the drawing. So it's kind of got this circulating effect going. All these things that I consider when I'm doing something. I always try to do different things with my drawings. Try to see what else I can do to create different effects. And the other thing I really want to do in this tree is sort of create some moss growth. So actually I'm going to do that by trying to erase out parts of the tree, sort of like that. Just so that I can kind of see where it's all going to be. And I'll use a 2B and just kind of add a bit of texture in it, in that area. So I'm not sure if I exactly have to erase it out, but it's helping to create a little bit of depth within this particular spot. So what this helps to do is give your tree some character. It'll make it unique. So it'll just kind of make your drawing a little bit more interesting. Perhaps there's a little bit more kind of hanging out down here, as well as over here as well. And then you can also create some smaller patches. I'll have a little bit more kind of hanging out over here. And the other thing I want to do is make sure I establish that this side of the tree is the darkest. So I'm going to do that just by really darkening everything over here. It'll help the tree to look much more round. So I'll continue doing that all the way down, just like that. Alright, and in my sketch, I had a couple tree branches. So let's have one kind of coming out right here. And then a lot of these branches are probably going to linger. I'll have these kind of come off the frame. And these are all going to be leaves right in here. I'll have another one hanging out right in here. Let's turn this into a branch. And just kind of have it coming up like that. But let's have this branch kind of come around and just hang out over here. For a second there I was worried I was drawing off frame again, but that's alright. Alright, and then maybe I'll just have a little branch kind of hanging out right there. I don't want to put too much up here, but I do want to have another branch coming all the way down to these. I'm going to make sure to use a much darker pencil for these leaves, because these are much closer than any of these leaves are, and it's going to really help to create depth. It's going to really set the playing field for where everything is in relation to this tree. Alright, let's have one more branch kind of coming out right here. Just like that. Kind of looks like a creepy old tree right now, but it's going to change. Alright, so let's do the same thing again. Grab a 2H and we'll shade in these parts of the tree. This part and this part. Make sure to always shade with the grain. That's what really helps to sell the effect. Alright, and then with an HB, I'm going to make sure to keep the same side of the tree very dark while lightly shading everything else in. And then it'll slowly become part of the initial tree that it's on. Same with this. I think by now I'm getting used to drawing at any angle without moving the paper. It's something that takes a while to like get good at, I guess. Or get used to. That's a much better word. It takes a long time to get used to it. So right here I have a dark edge, and I want to use the eraser to break that edge. And then come back in and then reform that edge, but now going up this way. And then I can reinforce that. So now it looks like it's coming out of the front of the tree and then kind of going off. Alright, so let's get the leaves going. I'll use an HB to start, and then I'll probably go over it with a 2B, but let's see how things go. And I want to make sure that I use quite a bit of pressure with this. I want to make sure it stands like it's everything else. I'm just going to sharpen this really quick. Much better. Alright. I'll zoom in for this, and there we go. That way you can see what's going on. I'm going to start with the bottom here. And it's going to be the same with everything else, just kind of working that counterclockwise motion, but you just want to make sure that you sort of create the shape of a leaf. Honestly, it's kind of like scribbling, but in a controlled manner. When you look at trees, like a reference of a tree, you kind of see what I'm doing and how it really looks. Because you're not really looking to draw each individual leaf. You could, but that would just be time consuming to the extreme. So I like to draw the space that resembles the tree leaves as a whole. So just kind of draw these big bushels of them. Just like that. Well, this is the other tree. Oops, that's no big deal. Alright, so, especially like right here, I want to make sure that these leaves are very dark compared to that. Alright, so this area, I want to help to mesh everything together. I just broke the tip of the pencil. Oh, let's get something over here going. I think I may have to go to a 2B. It's not enough contrast. So I'm going to do that, and I definitely have to sharpen this pencil. So basically, I'm trying to make these leaves much darker than everything else. That way they'll stand out. It is unfortunately not really working according to plan. I just got a bunch of graphite on my paper. Oh, the problems of recording while trying to get something done. Or to fix something. I got a little piece of graphite stuck in my sharpener. I think I just got it. Yep. Alright, take 2. Success. Alright, my pencil is now sharpened. Alright, so I'll go over this again. Now, even though that I'm making this so dark, I am definitely going to come back in with my eraser stick and pick out some highlights. It'll really help to create a more dynamic lighting effect. Alright, so that is significantly darker. I like to do the same over here. Alright, so basically wherever there's a tip of the tree is where I'll create a narrow area of shading, and then when it gets to the interconnects, I'll create more of a bush of leaves. Sort of like that. Especially right in here. I'll create it much thicker and have some leaves hanging down. Fill that area in. Just like that. Do the same right in here. Let me redraw this coming in. And even though there's no little branch here, I'm just going to add in a few leaves kind of hanging out right here. I'm also going to do the same right here as well. Just kind of have a few leaves hanging out on the tree trunk itself. Alright, and then coming down here, got a lot of leaves. They're going to be all bunched up right in here. Just like that. Now after a while, when all these branches are close together, it's going to become a mess of leaves, but it'll still translate quite well. Just add a little bit more right there. And then we got another large area of leaves right in here. Now these go all the way into here. Now I want to make sure I do this very dark compared to that, and that way it'll really stand out. That is the beauty of having a range of pencils. Just being able to easily create that contrast or where you need it. You could also vary the pressure that you apply on your pencil, but you can only apply so much before you start running out of range that you can apply with that pencil. So just want to keep that in mind. Alright, this bushel's getting a little bit out of control, but I think we're okay. If I add in more leaves kind of hanging out on this, grab my eraser really quick, kind of erase and erase. Just add some leaves kind of hanging out in this area as well. and it'll kind of balance things out. Just like that. Alright, and here is, I believe, the last branch, which again comes down into here. That's one thing I like to do, is just kind of create some overlapping textures and features. Helps to, again, create that illusion of depth. That's all landscapes really are. Just making sure that you can tell that one thing is in front of the other. And just for the effect, I want to add in a couple leaves that are hanging out at the top of the frame here. And I'm feeling like there should be more leaves over here, so I'm going to do so. And you could see, well, you can't really see yet. I'll zoom out, but at least I can see for the moment that things are really starting to pull together. I'm going to go back in, create some darker values. Have some leaves hanging out right in here. And this tree is really taking shape very nicely. It's creating that canopy effect that I was really going for in this. Because this whole area is kind of dark. Even though this tree will not shade the entire area of this drawing, I wanted to give it that effect. So I'm really glad that that's coming through. Oh, well, that is unfortunate. I just broke the entire tip. Alrighty, that's the first time that's ever happened. But nothing that a sharpener can't fix. And we are back in action. Actually, it takes a lot of force to break one of those. Much more than a mechanical pencil would. Alright, let me zoom out and show you, oh, wrong way again, what I was talking about. So you can see how everything is finally starting to mesh together. But that is honestly how my drawing process kind of goes. It looks like kind of mediocre to start with, but as soon as I kind of get things working out, going according to plan, and to start working in some of the values and details, everything really comes together quite quickly. And I know I probably mentioned this before, but that's probably one of my favorite aspects about drawing. I just never know how something's going to turn out. It could be complete garbage, or it could be something that totally takes me by surprise, and yeah, it just kind of really impresses me. So this, again, is one of those experiences. Alright, so things that I still need to do. I'm probably going to make one more part, maybe two. We'll see how things go. But, I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything over here or not, but I probably should. I'm going to lighten up this area, possibly add in a bit of detail in this back here, so that way it stands out a bit more. And I might try and bring out some of these trees a little bit, but it's just overall fine-tuning that's left for this, but not much. So, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all later. Take care.